Hello, welcome to Outmouse Labs. My name is Penny, and I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to continue on with our Pixel Falls tutorial series, or tutorial / get to know Pixel Falls series. Just as a reminder, this is sort of a pre-alpha project, and if you would like to be involved in playing with the engine, if you think this looks cool, be sure to head on over to Patreon. I'll have it linked in the video, and you'll be able to join. With that, let's get started. Today we are going to look at one way to do a dialogue system. So in a lot of dialogue systems, you'll have like a little photo and a name and then the dialogue. So that's what we look to build here. Here's what we're going to be looking at. So I just have a basic world. We have a character who can move in 4 directions. And when we interact with something, say this target, we go into our interact screen. We have our 2 pictures here. And then we have our dialogue. We have the name, hello Dino. Then Dino says, hey Doug, this is my second line. So this Dino has 2 lines. Then we go out of our dialogue and we have control of our character again. Pretty simple. The only other thing to note would be we do not. I'm going to go ahead and add that right here for you. We want to give the player instructions on how to continue, just in case. Most folks, I think, are going to intuit using the Z or X key, but just in case. So to do that, we are going to do draw text. Then we're going to do just a capital Z as our text. And we are going to set this at something like, well, actually, we can go over to our level editor and get coordinates. Why don't we put it about right here? So that's 116, 112. So I'll go to it. 116. 112, our color index, which is 7, actually, which is 2, and our size, which is 1. Okay. Looks like our color is actually 1. Okay. So now, when we hit play and we go over there, we can see a Z in the corner, which suggests that we need to hit the Z key to go forward. Okay. So first things first. Over in our sprite editor, I imported some assets that I made. This is portrait 1, this is portrait 2, this is portrait 2 flipped, this is our player, and this is our interactable. Once I added them in, I also made our dialog box. Now, obviously, this isn't the most efficient way to do this. If you are doing something like a graphic novel or an interactive fiction or something like that, a visual novel, you could just make these sprites and just draw them on the screen. That would be way more efficient. But I'm assuming something like an RPG where you want to be able to turn these things off. And that is why I have done it the way I've done it. For now, at least. Okay, so you draw, then you're going to go build out your level. Our base actually has nothing on it right now. Our portraits has all 3 of our nodes. If you aren't sure what nodes are or how to make one, go ahead and check my earlier video. It'll walk you through it. I placed them on the map, remembering that you can hold down Shift when you add a node to have it snap to the grid, which is very, very helpful. Now, this does use more than one map. That's part of what works here. So up here in the corner, you see map settings. If you go here, you can choose different maps. So our map 0 currently is just our level. So we have our character and our interact. Our dialogue map is our dialogue window. Now, the way you would make this work is if you had dialogue between, say, dog and dino and then later dog and rabbit, you would have a different map with dog and rabbit. So each pairing has their own dialogue window in the form of a map. So that's how we're doing this. Hopefully that makes sense. So we build out our dialogue map / dialogue screen. Then we go up to code. In code, starting in main, we just have an init that starts our map at map 0, clears our screen. We set up our nodes and props. Again, check an earlier video if you aren't sure how to do nodes and props. But just by example, portrait run uses this picture. It has no collider because it doesn't need one for our purposes. And its origin is in the left-hand corner. Very, very simple. Portrait 2 uses the same. If we wanted to change our portrait for some reason, all you do is click on it and then drag what you want it to be. And It'll be just as it was before. Okay, so we build out our nodes and props. Then we start coding. Our dialog box is a node because you might want to hide it later. You might want to change how it looks. There's all kinds of things you might want to do. Right now, it's just basic, so it doesn't have any code attached. Our player is where basically everything is happening. So I'll go over what I've gone over before just in brief. We have init, update, and draw. These are our lifecycle methods. Init happens once when the object is created. Draw happens every frame after update has completed, which also happens every frame. Each of them has a reference to the node itself, which we're calling self, and in the case of init, also an x and y position. We set the instances x and y to the overall x and y. We set the sprite to 16. Can interact, which is just a flag, to true. Map to 0, and then we create our dialog. Our dialog is nested tables. So dialog is a table, and inside of that table, we have another table with the name dog, and then a line, and then another table with the name dino, and then the line hey dog, and the line this is my second line. So you can make as complex of dialogues as you wanted using this method. Next, we set up our update. This looks exactly like before, so I'm only going to say briefly. We set up our collisions by setting it to set our current x and y, try to move. If the move is successful, we move, and if we hit a collision, then if it's an interaction, we go to our dialog screen, and if it's just a solid, that's us back to our current x and y. Then everything is drawn. We draw the map, and we choose whichever map we've set. We draw our sprite using the sprite we've set and the x and y, and we run interact. So interact is running 30 or 60 times a second, depending on what you got it set to. And if we show dialog, which is what happens when we collide with something that is interactable, we show dialog self1. Up at the top, show dialog. It asks for a dialog map. We said map 1 in this case. If can interact is true, then map equals dialog map. So map becomes map 1. Self.sprite becomes 0, making our player invisible. And interact, which is always running, is just watching for if map equals, in this case, 1. So if map equals 1, then we're going to do all of this. And I'm going to explain this in detail. So we're taking advantage of a Lua function called iPairs. I'm going to switch over to Geeks for Geeks real quick and show you what this is. So iPairs function is commonly used in conjunction with the generic for loop to iterate over an ordered list or array. It provides a straightforward way to traverse array-like tables with consecutive integer keys starting from run. The example they have is you have an array of fruits, apple, banana, orange. For each index, each fruit in the fruits, print the index number and the fruit. So you would get 1 apple, 2 banana, 3 orange, etc. That is what we're going to be using. So for our purposes, we say for index line in iPairs, our dialog, which is an array or table, current dialog, which is another table, draw text, just like we do for any other text, dialog, current dialog, and then right now 1 means that we'll show the name, right? So to show our name, we're saying dialog, current dialog 1, which is always going to be the name, at position 653 with color 1 and at size 1 font. We say if the index does not equal 1, so if it's not the name, then we're going to draw the text line at 653 plus 8, which is one line's worth of height, times our index minus 1. So when our index is 1, it's going to be 8 times 0, which is 0. When our index is 2, it's going to be 8 times 1, which is 8. And that's how we get each line sequentially. And again, size 1, color 1. We draw the text Z, as I showed you a little while ago, at 116, 112, 11 to tell the player to hit Z to continue. Finally, so it's going to do that in a loop. If we press the button Z, so if the player presses button Z, the current dialog, which is up here, is going to go up by 1. So then it's going to be looking at, for instance, dialogue 2, which will be our second array in our dialogue set. So that'll be our dino. And if current dialogue is greater than the length of dialogue, pound before an array or table means get the length of it. Then our can interact becomes false, so that we can't accidentally trigger it again by colliding right away. Map goes back to 0. We turn our sprite back to 16, so we're not invisible. And then our current dialogue, we reset it to 1. Our current line, we reset it to 1. So we basically go back to where we were at before we ran the interaction. And that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the top here so you can copy this code if you want to. Down, there we go. Hopefully this all makes sense. There's our dialogue if you want to go copy how that works. This can get a little confusing. It took me a couple of hours to get it all how I wanted it. If you do get stuck, please feel free to reach out in the comments, or if you have joined the Patreon, find me on the Discord. I'm happy to try and help. Okay, I think that is it for this one. I appreciate y'all. Consider a like and subscribe, and once again, happy game making.